Hi everyone, this is Jenny Lee with www.digistitches.com and thank you for joining us again today. I realized after yesterday's video that we may need to review some of the very basic embroidery skills that you should have learned when you first started machine embroidery. And I realized that not all of you are close to a dealer or have the time to take classes. And so this is going to cover what you should have learned in the very beginning that you may have missed if you didn't take classes at your dealer, or if someone didn't show you how to do it. We're going to show you how to do it today because I know some of you are still having problems with puckers, and we are going to show you how to get t-shirts without puckers. Yesterday's video covered how we were lining up our design, so feel free to watch that if you need to know how we lined this design up perfectly. We'll cover a little bit of that today. This video is going to be geared towards those of you that are working with single needle machines, those of you who are working with semi-commercial and commercial machines. Those are the 6, 10, 15 needle machines. You can use some of the tips as far as applying your stabilizer, but your hooping method is going to be a little bit different. So if you want to see how we're hooping a t-shirt, make sure you watch our first video. Alright, so let's get started. First, let's talk about stabilizer. This is the type of stabilizer we like to use. It is a no-show nylon or poly mesh. It's lightweight, and we have been recommending the Floriani brand of no-show nylon mesh fusible stabilizer for the past couple years. Well, guess what? I ran out of that stabilizer about 2 weeks ago, and I was in a hurry, so I ran into my local Joann store, and like many of those Joann stores, they have those Viking stores in the middle of them. This is sold at that Viking store, and this is made by Inspira. Now, I have always loved the Inspira brand of stabilizers. They are similar quality to Floriani. I'm sure they're probably priced the same as Floriani. They're a little bit higher than some of the cheaper stabilizers, but I actually think they're better quality. Now, this one is actually called, let me get the label. Now, I always stick the label, when I peel it off, I stick it inside my tube, so it's easy reference to know exactly what kind of stabilizer this is. This one is called Inspira Whisper Mesh Light. It says it's a semi-shear, no-show, permanent stabilizer. I'm going to show you why we like it better than the Floriani, the fusible Floriani. Number one, I said it was lighter, and I actually just think it's quicker to use than the fusible kind. I'll just show you why. Alright, so let's get started. So you have a t-shirt, and I want you to turn the t-shirt inside out. Alright. Then you're going to place the t-shirt on a flat working surface, like this, and you've already pre-cut a piece of stabilizer that fits onto the front of your t-shirt. Go ahead and spray the t-shirt with 505 Spray and Fix adhesive. This is a temporary fabric spray adhesive that you can purchase at most fabric and quilting stores. Lightly spray it like that. Now, you may want to get yourself a big cardboard box to spray this inside. That way you don't end up with sticky spray all over your sewing room. Go ahead and place the stabilizer on top of the t-shirt and lightly smooth it into place. This will adhere it really well. It will not come loose until after you iron it. After you iron it, it seems to make the sticky spray dissipate. Alright, let's go back to talking about that fusible kind, because some of you bought it, you might want to use it up, and I'm going to tell you the biggest thing to remember is your iron temperature. When you iron the stabilizer onto your t-shirt, you actually want to press it, and pressing is an up and down motion. It's not back and forth. Back and forth stretches your t-shirt. You'll want to press it up and down. You will want to use a medium hot iron set at about 260 degrees. That's usually a silk setting. If you have your iron too hot, your stabilizer is going to shrink. Usually you'll notice it, sometimes you won't, and that causes puckers. Alright, If you ironed on or pressed on your stabilizer with fusible stabilizer, you will need to let your shirt cool off before you turn it back right sides out, and that's another reason I like this stabilizer, that I don't have to waste time letting it cool off. And I just wanted to comment too, another reason we switched stabilizers from fusible to non-fusible is because we were always having to let our iron cool off when we were switching between ironing applique fabric on a high heat iron and ironing on the poly mesh. So that's another reason we switched. And I did want to say that the girls at Applique Forum recommended the no-show nylon mesh or poly mesh that's sold by all brands. They like that a lot. Again, that's non-fusible, so that might be another brand for you to try. So after you're done with this, go ahead and turn, after you've applied your stabilizer, go ahead and turn your t-shirt right sides out, fold it in half to get that center placement line. Just finger press it until you get a nice crease in there. That's going to serve as the line so we can line up our design on our t-shirt. Now let's grab our hoop, and yesterday, if you want to watch yesterday's video, I showed you how on a home embroidery machine they come with templates. And your hoop is this big, but the design, the maximum stitch area that your hoop will stitch is indicated within this template. And this is what you need to know when you're lining up a design, that it's not the top of your hoop that tells you where the design is, it's the template. And if your hoop doesn't already have these marks on it to indicate where the top of your design is and the bottom, as well as, you know, how far from the edge that design is going to be, I want you to go ahead and mark them on there. You can watch that first tutorial that I made to learn how to do that a little bit better. This is just kind of a quickie review on that. So if you have a home embroidery machine, you are going to take your outer hoop, this is the one that snaps onto your machine, and place it inside your shirt like this. Alright, and then you're going to line up the placement dots on your hoop with the center line that's running down your shirt, that little crease that we pressed in there. Alright, once everything's lined up, and you'll want to get your hoop just a little bit higher than the center portion on the sleeve, because I know that the inner hoop is going to, you know, the actual design is going to be a little bit lower. So I want to put that top of the hoop a little bit higher than that. Now I want you, before you put your inner ring in, smooth that out from underneath. Okay, before you put your inner ring in, I want you to note where the screw on your hoop is. And the screw on my hoop is right here. That's going to be important for you to know in just 2 seconds. When you put your inner ring into the hoop, this is your inner hoop, I want you to start pushing in from the opposite side of the screw. So for me, that's over here. And I want you to gently push it in, starting from the opposite point, and then just work your hands evenly around until you get over to where the screw is. That is the best way to hoop a shirt, from the opposite corner, pressing your hands in opposite directions until you reach the screw. After this is hooped, I don't want you to tighten the screw. If you need to tighten the screw, go ahead and tighten it, you know, to get that hoop in there securely. And I don't want you to over tighten it. The screw doesn't actually need to be that tight. This hoop should really just pop in and out, you know, like this. If you're working on a smaller garment, you might need to tighten the screw just a little bit more, just to hoop that shirt securely while you're turning it inside out to get it on your machine. But after you tighten that screw, you're going to need to pop this hoop back out, smooth everything back out, line it up again, like that, and then put it back in. If you tighten the screw after you've hooped it, you are probably going to get puckers. So we're going to go like that. Now I'm going to check to make sure that the top of my design, which is right here, I've got these little placement lines, is about even with the center part on the sleeve. That's how I know my design is going to line up exactly where I want it. When I send my design to the machine, I want to move the design all the way up in the hoop as far as it will go. It will move up to this line. It will be perfectly placed. You know your design when it's sent to the machine is already going to be in the center. So from side to side it's going to be perfectly placed. The only thing you need to worry about is moving that design all the way up to the top of the hoop as far as it will stitch. And that should be good for you. Now, I know that some of you are using a non-hoop method for your t-shirts. That is where you're hooping a piece of stabilizer, either tearaway or polymesh or whatever you're using, cutaway, and then you slide your shirt over the top of it. If you want to go ahead and do that, that's okay, if that's the way that you think it works best for you. But I have been into over 100 embroidery stores in the last year. I was on a mission to find out how commercial embroidery stores, you know, the shops, are hooping their t-shirts, and they are all using a cutaway stabilizer. They are all hooping their garment, and I have to think it's because, from experience, it works better, leads to less puckering, and it's faster. And I think that once you get used to hooping your t-shirt like that, you are going to find it is faster than sliding your t-shirt over and pinning it and constantly removing the pins every time you want to turn the t-shirt inside out. Now, when you start your embroidered design, you're going to want to turn your t-shirt inside out like this. You'll want to make sure that you have your sleeves inside out as well. And then you're going to put this hoop on your machine and then hold the fabric out of the way as you're embroidering. If you have long sleeves, you're probably going to want to pin them or at least hold on to them up to the top like this, and this is how you're going to be embroidering. I would not leave your machine unattended because you will more than likely stitch a sleeve or stitch something together in here. Make sure you're always keeping an eye on it. After your embroidery is done, go ahead and turn your t-shirt inside out and unhoop it. Let's just say we have our design like this. Go ahead and turn the whole t-shirt inside out, and then trim the the nylon stabilizer or polymesh stabilizer around the design. You kind of have to be careful when you do this that you don't trim your t-shirt. If you've used the fusible kind of stabilizer, it will actually lift up. You just kind of have to peel it away. If you've used the kind with adhesive, the fabric spray adhesive, it comes off easily too. So just go ahead and trim all the way around. I know some people like to use Cover A Stitch or the Floriani Dream Weave to cover these stitches so that they're not as scratchy. But honestly, once you wash the stabilizer in this design a couple times, it's really not all that scratchy. So do it however you think that you like it best. There's no one way to do everything. Let's see if there's anything else I can mention. Oh, yes, when you iron your applique fabric on these designs, when you're ironing applique fabric, we like to use a product called Heat and Bond Light. You're going to apply that to the back of the pieces, all your applique pieces, prior to embroidery. It adds us a little bit extra of a stabilizer, makes the fabric just a little stiffer so that it's easier to trim around applique. And when you iron that on, it's just like ironing the fusible stabilizer. You don't actually want to iron, which is a back and forth motion. What you want to do is up and down with your iron so that you're not stretching that fabric. That also prevents puckers. Alright, I am hoping that you learned a lot from this tutorial. I'm hoping that every single one of you will be able to do a shirt without puckers, with perfect placement, that your friends and family will go nuts over. It is my mission, really it is, to help you become better embroiderers and be able to make the most wonderful projects and gifts for your family and friends. If you have any questions that you'd like for me to answer, please shoot me an email at jennylee@digistitches.com, or join me on my Facebook page and send me a message there. You can find me on Facebook at Digistitches Embroidery. Thanks so much for letting me spend part of my day with you, and I hope you found this tutorial helpful. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.